Hello, gorgeous. Happy Friday. I am super excited for September's edition of Live Q&A with Coach K. This day, I have 8 questions that came in from my audience, some I picked up today. I'm just super excited that we are doing this again and that I'm getting so much interaction from it. This morning, I was at home in Franklin County and I did a mental health panel, and the participation was absolutely amazing. And I got the best comment. One of my cousins, he has 3 girls. He said, I hope that you know that when my kids watch your videos or are watching you on Facebook, you say, hello, gorgeous. And they say, hello, gorgeous back. And it just made me smile. So I'm like, next time I see them in person, I'm definitely going to say that. So let's dive into tonight's questions. If you are live here, say, hey, Kayla, I'm live. So I'll know that you're out in the audience and you are watching. If you did not send in a question, do know that you have the ability to send me your question. I don't know if I lost y'all when I pulled up my Facebook. I am using a streaming service so that I can stream into both the plot twist and on my main page. And that way I don't miss any of your comments. So if you see me looking over, that's so that I can catch your comments, okay? I'm super excited. Let's dive into it tonight. All right. Question number 1 came in from somebody who wants to remain anonymous. And she said, hey, Coach K, how do I tell my boyfriend that I need more support with household things and the kids? And I said, so first things first is you want to make sure that you have this conversation when you guys are not already having a bad day, right? And I know that lots of couples, lots of girls will tell me, Kayla, there's never really a good time to bring up these conversations. I need you to bring up these conversations after the Cowboys win, okay? Like, I need you to bring up these conversations when he's in the best of moods. If you listen to my podcast that I did with my boyfriend maybe 2 weeks ago, we talked about the correct praise model, or I called it the sandwich model, where you give somebody some good news, you give them the corrective action, and then you give them some more good news. And so you say, baby, I'm so grateful for all that you do for me and the kids. I was extremely exhausted this weekend, and it would have helped me a lot if you could get the baby down for a nap, or it would help me a lot if you can help me to get the clothes out of the dryer and fold it up. And I'm going to make your favorite dinner. So what time will you be home? Because basically what you're saying is, this is what you're doing great. This is how I need support. And this is what else is great, right? You sandwich it in between. Basically ask for what you want. As women, often we do this thing where we feel like people can read our mind and they cannot. And men don't have any interest in reading our mind. And when they do, they typically try to correct situations that we don't necessarily think are problems. And so we're not happy anyway. Strictly ask for what you want. Hello, Linda K. What's up? Super excited that you're here. So that would be my suggestion is I would ask for directly what I want, and I would use the sandwich method. That way they don't feel like you are telling them what to do and they don't feel attacked. It's packed good with yummy goodness of all the things you're doing right, okay? Number 2 question is, what's that emotional plan thing and who needs one? And I'm going to assume this is about my emotional management plan. Everyone needs one. The emotional management plan was a system that I created to help me to predict or anticipate difficult situations, to bring to my memory ways that I have coped in the past with things that were really stressful for me, and to come up with new strategies to cope in the future. And so in the emotional management plan, I lay out a template for you to do exactly the same thing. We're going to talk about things that might really make you angst out, or really make you angry, or any other emotion that you don't want to experience. We're going to talk about the things that have gone well in the past, and we're going to anticipate some situations that might make you anxious in the future. And then we're going to create a detailed plan for when this happens, this is going to be my response. If this doesn't work, I'm going to move on to this. You can purchase a plan independently from me, or you can schedule a session where we work on it together. You can do it by yourself. I strongly encourage you to do it alongside me, or schedule that one-on-one after, so that we can work through it and I can help you to see the holes that you might have if you do it by yourself. If you go back to my live video from last night, I talk a lot about how I implemented my own emotional management plan with dealing with my kid and all of his behaviors on Friday. But this is for that teacher who has that kid in class who's super disruptive, and you need to regulate, because if you lose control, you lose control of your classroom. It's for the wife or the husband who is having really an emotional or volatile marriage and you don't want to be fighting in front of your children, or you don't want to say things that could be hurtful to your spouse that are going to continue indefinitely, it's for that person as well, right? So just be mindful. It's literally for anyone. Like, if you have emotions, if you have a beating heart, it's for you, and we can just figure out how you could use it or how you could navigate it. It's for that corporate girl who's had a really tough meeting and you've got delivered some really bad news, and then you got to go back and give it to your team. Or it's for you having to have a difficult conversation with a family member. Maybe they're using substances, maybe they're not taking care of their kids, maybe they're not taking care of their bills. It's for anyone. It's just to help you to regulate. Okay, so anybody could use it. It just depends on what your emotional needs are at the time. If you do have questions and you're out in the audience, hello, drop them below so that I can get them answered. Question number 3: do you only work with women? So I specifically work with middle-aged women. So my clientele ranges from anywhere from 24 to about 56. And y'all are laughing because you're like, hey, is that middle age? I mean, if the content hits and it lands, then great, right? But I am willing to work with people who are older or a little bit younger, probably not less than 20, just because the things that I'm focusing on is starting over in love, life, career, relationships, like any of those situations. And so typically I'm looking at someone who is got some life experience. They've come up on some hard times and they're trying to navigate how to start fresh or how to start new. I do have a lot of males who watch my content, and shout out to y'all. I appreciate y'all. I get DMs all the time about things in my videos and how it's helped you in your relationships. So you do not have to stop watching my videos. If it's helpful to you, please, by all means, reach out to me. And I would still work on an emotional management plan to you because that is not gender specific. So to answer that question, specifically women, but I am open to working on my individual stuff with men as well. Question number 4 comes from a corporate girl who wants to be anonymous. She says, is EAP really private, or will they tell my boss? So counselors, therapists that you link up with through your EAP program, if you don't know what EAP is typically an employee assistance program where you can get therapy, counseling, guidance, legal advice, those kinds of things through your employer. Those therapists are held at the same code as any other therapist, so they are not at liberty to share anything you said about your boss or anything like that, unless you stated that you wanted to unalive yourself or someone else, right? So they would have to tell that, or in the event that like a child or an elderly person, someone that was in a vulnerable population, if they were at risk of harm or injury, then they would have to report those things. Otherwise, you can go in there and tell them that you hate your job, all kinds of stuff. They cannot share that information. That's HIPAA. It's private protected information, and they can't violate that. Typically, your EAP programs give you 3 to 5 counseling sessions for absolutely free, and you can decide if you want to continue working with that counselor or not. You also have the same liberties. Say you just don't jive with the person that you're matched with. Like, fortunately, I jived with my counselor and I love her. But like, if you don't jive, you can trade, even though it's EAP. You have the same rights as anybody else. Checking the comments. No comments here. Number 5. I feel like I'm always stretched really thin. How can I make more time for myself when everybody always needs me and relies on me to do everything? Excellent question. So this is really interesting because we talked about this today in our mental health panel. I talked about boundaries. Like, boundaries that's the highest level of self-care and self-respect, setting that boundary. And I explained that there is a drama triangle, right? There's a drama triangle. Let's say it's an upside down triangle. The victim is at the bottom, and then you have a hero and you have a protagonist. And the protagonist or you have a hero and you have an antagonist. So like the villain. And so the victim is expecting the hero to save them. And if you're this person, that means you're stretched super thin. So you're the hero. And so, yes, I've made a priority to have my self time. Yes, you have to. The villain may not actually be a villain. The villain is just not giving the victim what they want. So if someone is asking you to borrow your car, to borrow money, to watch their kids, to stay up late and work on an assignment with them, if they're constantly taking, and you're giving in, then you're the hero. The moment that you say no, voila, you become the bad guy, you become the villain, you become Loki, and they're going to find another hero. And so I stated today earlier, I said, just because your plate, like just because you're carrying it well, doesn't mean it's not heavy. And so I would encourage you to start looking at things that you can take off your plate. Start looking at ways that you can cut down the amount of energy that you are expending in a day. You do not have to be working from bell to bell, from the time your eyes open until the time you put your feet on the floor. That's just not realistic. And it's okay to say no and allow no to be your complete answer. I think that we get into this habit of explaining to people why we're saying no because we feel like this guilt or this hole of shame. And the reality is when we start giving explanations behind our no, that think makes people think that you're open to negotiations or that they're entitled to an explanation as to why you can't do it. The answer is no because you're putting yourself first, okay? And you can just say I can't fit that in my schedule this week, and the people who love you and respect you, they may not like it, but they're not going to completely fall off. People who are using you for what you're doing, they may fall off entirely, and that's okay because what we wanted was more space and more freedom for us to do what we wanted. Um, if you want to DM me, we can hash that out a little bit more in the DMs, or I will actually I'll reach out to you because I can do a special offer for that. Let's talk about that a little bit. Um, any questions in the comments? No. Number 6 is, how do you keep finding courage to start over in love? Sorry, my throat is really parched. It says, I'm starting to think that it's never going to happen for me, and I'm just meant to be single. The truth of the matter is, I don't know that I found the courage. I just decided to fall in love with myself. And once I started treating myself different, what I allowed and who I allowed to treat me, that changed too, right? So when you fall in love with yourself, you recognize your value, you recognize your worth. We kind of talked about this in a previous masterclass where I'm like, your granny was always like, get your feet off my couch. Why? Because your grandmother recognized the value of the couch. And when you recognize the value of something, you don't put your feet on it. And so I think that the courage to fall in love again genuinely just becomes that I genuinely believe that God will grant you the desires of your heart. If you stay in his will and you stay consistent and fervent in your prayers and you are doing your part, God will grant you the desires of your heart. And sometimes what didn't work out for us actually worked out for us. Like I think back to all the situations where I really thought I wanted that relationship. And 2 years now, 3 years now, 4 years now down the road, I would have been miserable had I stayed in those situations if that had been what I've gotten. And so just remaining diligent and knowing that you're worthy of love. You are enough and you're worthy of love just as you are right now, and being patient while things unfold for you. I say to my girls all the time, my clients, my friends, that Ruth positioned herself. She didn't go jumping in nobody's DMs. It was like I say, drop the virtual handkerchief where you say, oh, nice shirt. And you keep it moving because now your DM is open because you said, hey, nice shirt. You didn't say you're so attractive, blah, 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 blah. It is stay open and stay diligent in knowing that God will grant you the desires of your heart. Yes, what didn't work out for you really did work out for you. Yes, Linda K, no doubt. Next question. It is, any ideas for sparking conversations with my boyfriend? We've been working on not just staring into our phones, but what are we supposed to talk about? So I have it's not out on my table. There are these cards. I'll drop the link below. There's these cards that my boyfriend and I have. It's a deck of cards, and basically it's questions to ask one another. And so we may go through 3 or 4 questions in a night. The honest to goodness truth is you can talk about anything, but I I'm a deep emotional thinker. I want to talk about the stars and are there aliens and all kinds of stuff. He might not want to talk about that, right? So I have this deck of cards where you ask you really serious questions. And then there's some funny questions that you can ask. Would you rather have the ability to fly or the ability to be invisible? My son and his wife do the same thing. Yes, because you actually get to pick their brain. And I think that especially in the dating phase, because you said boyfriend, especially in the dating phase, it's so important to get that to know that person as a friend, because like looks are going to fade. Time is going to like get you into I won't say a rut, but where you're on this just love ebbs and flows. And when the person is your friend and you actually have conversations and you know the way that they think and there's more to it than just the way that they look or the physical chemistry, it makes it more long lasting. But I have a game that we play. And as far as like not staring in the phones, do active dates. We have a jar, it's at his house. We have a jar of ideas that we came up with like in December that we may just pull something out of the jar and be like, hey, we're gonna try this. Like, and we only put stuff in there that, nothing crazy, but it may be like go-karts, it may be like putt-putt golf, it may be throwing axes, it may be just do active dates so you're up and moving around. And that way you don't have the time to just kind of stop and stare in your phone. When only two people are bowling, there's no time for texting and scrolling Facebook, because by the time you sit down to look at your phone, it's your time to go again. So that is a strategy that you might do. If you want more ideas, let me know. And the last question is, how do you go about bringing up tough conversations with someone? And it doesn't say who that someone is. So if it's with a friend or someone, I kind of talked about this today too at the mental health panel. The first thing that I would say is I'm coming to you because I love you, or because because I'm a supporter, or because I'm concerned, or letting them know that you feel comfortable coming to them. You could say, I'm coming to you because we're friends and this is a really uncomfortable conversation, but I want to talk to you about this. What I always suggest that people never ever say is we need to talk. Because when you say we need to talk, instantly they panic. They're like, oh, we're breaking up, or you don't want to be my friend anymore. Oh my. And it's not necessarily like that. But just saying, I love you, and we don't say but at my house. There is no I love you, but, or it was nice, but, because but cancels out everything you said in front of it. I love you, and I'd like to have this conversation. And again, go back to that sandwich method where you give them the good news, you give them the corrective issue, and then you give them some more good news. And that good news might look like, hey, I love you. I enjoy really going out and having fun with you. I've noticed over the last couple of weeks that your drinking has picked up, and I'm a little bit concerned because, you almost got pulled over. And I want us to be able to continue going out with one another. And I don't want anything to happen to you because you're my best friend. Right? Like that's a sandwich where you say the good, you say the concern, you say the good. And they're going to take it either way, but how they accept or how they respond to your feedback that's not your issue. Okay? Yes, you can ask me a question. What about, can I ask you a question? Or explain, Linda K. Oh, yeah. I guess I think I understand what you're saying. Like if you're trying to deliver tough news, you say, can I ask you a question? And they'll say yes. And you can say, can we talk a little bit about your whatever it is? Can you help me she may catch this live. I had a nursing supervisor one time. Her name is Jan. Jan is the most amazing nurse I've ever worked with, like most dynamic leader. But she would say, Miss Kayla, can you help me understand something? Especially if she was trying to figure out what was going on. And that's the way that I talk to my staff, just learning that from her is, can you help me understand? Can I ask a question? Can you help me understand? So yes, Linda K, thank you for that. Definitely. Well, those are all the questions that I had today on my live Q&A with Coach K. This one was a little bit shorter than the others. It's been a jam-packed week. So let me invite you to something cool, and then I will let you off. So next week, exclusively in the Plot Twist community group, I'm streaming there and on my live and on my Facebook page. If you're not already in the Plot Twist, just click the link over there in my bio. You can get in the Plot Twist or drop Plot Twist below, and I'll send you a link directly. We are doing a Mindset Makeover Masterclass 2.0 because I did my first masterclass in October of last year, and I have learned so much over the last 11 months, and it is going to be epic. I mean, like epic. Like I get super excited. There's going to be a whole workbook and everything. And I want you in there. It's going to be Thursday and Friday at 7:35. I'm expecting the class to last 10 to 15 minutes probably a little bit less because I know you're going to be rushing out the door. You're probably like, Kayla, do I look like I could be up? Middle-aged women are going to work at 7:35. Yes, you are, but the replays are going to stay up for 7 days after the class, and then I'll pull them down. So you do have plenty of time to catch the replay. I want to teach you how to get out of the rut, to really like reset your mindset, get back on the horse. We're getting ready to start Q4, and I want us to finish the year strong. So I'm going to teach you how to do that. And I cannot wait for you to get that content. I love you, girl. I want the best for you, girl. Have a safe and wonderful weekend. Y'all know me. I'm liable to pop back in throughout the weekend, but I just wanted to make sure that I kept my promise to you and did a Q&A every single month. Have an excellent weekend on purpose, sis, and we will chat in the next one.